What is up? What is going on? And welcome into another episode of America's Hometown Horror. How's everybody doing tonight? Thanks for checking in on another episode of our show. My name is Mike. I am your host. And of course, as always, we have a jam-packed episode tonight. So let's jump right in. Here's where you can find us on social media and the interwebs. If you're interested, you can find us on our website, for the time being at least, at ahpod.com. That's ahhpod.com. You can also listen to all of our episodes on YouTube. Just search for America's Hometown Horror. You'll find us. Do the same thing on Facebook. You'll find us there. We're also on Twitter at Hometown Horror. And we're on Instagram, which is where we're the most active by far, at Hometown Horror Pod. And shit, you can even shoot us an email at hometownhorrorpodcast@gmail.com. Also, a reminder that we're now a part of horrorfacts.com, which is an awesome resource if you're a horror fan. They have news, reviews, etc., etc. Check out horrorfacts.com, specifically horrorfacts.com/podcasts, and you'll find our show there listed amongst many other fantastic horror shows that it is absolutely a pleasure to be featured alongside. So, with that mouthful out of the way, as usual, I am joined by my fellow co-hosts Andrew, Kat, and Matt.
Hello.
What up? What's up, guys?
Not much.
What the dilly? What's the deal? What's happening?
Not much. Enjoying the beautiful weather.
Yeah, it is nice out.
Oh, I feel like a real boy again.
The beautiful chill.
Getting up and going to work in the morning, I'm just like, the sun's already up.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. There's something about walking outside and it not being freezing cold in the morning that's
Or
just
pitch
like
black.
Yeah, well, that too.
That too.
Sucks
Yeah.
even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
At least we got like another 6 months of this good weather, and then we'll worry about that.
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah, we got a while to go. We got the whole summer, we got the whole fall, which of course is spooky season, and then we got the winter after that. So, with lots of awesome horror movies to be released along the way, I'm sure. By the way, they call that a professional segue, folks. Starting with this week, because A24's Men is coming out. You can actually see the first showings of this on Thursday night, but a wide release on Friday. So, are you guys excited about this movie? It looks fucking awesome, and I think we should probably do this for our show next week.
Well, Mike,
if we can all see it.
Yeah. I know you love men, so I'm sure you're excited.
Really? How sophomoric, Andrew.
Is this available on any streaming services?
It is not, because it is an A24 movie, which means that it is an art house horror film, an elevated horror film.
What was the other A24 movie we just did?
X.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
That is A24, that's right. X was rad. Did you guys see that in theaters?
We did. No, we rented it. And actually, I know you were more of a fan of, I don't think any of us liked it.
Really? You must not listen to that podcast.
Yeah, you didn't listen. It's okay.
Yeah,
really?
I was underwhelmed. I was just underwhelmed. I don't know.
thought it was awesome.
I thought it started off like with great
a love
potential.
note to just like all the 70s like Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Spit on Your Grave and just like all that craziness.
And I said this on the show, but I just wonder if it was more of a me problem because I feel like it was so hyped up. And every time I feel like I go into a movie where it's so hyped up and I'm hearing all these positive things, I'm like, yeah, that was fine. It was good. It was okay.
Yeah.
Like, it was okay. Like, it wasn't anything groundbreaking, but it was definitely like a love letter to Texas Chainsaw Massacre and like, a couple other movies. But
I think that Ty West has a really good way of portraying old movies now. Like, he did House of the Devil as an 80s movie, and that looks like a fucking 80s movie the entire time. This was the same thing. I felt like I was watching a real grindhouse 70s movie.
I think he's great, and I love The Sacrament. That's my favorite of his movies, which I love. I think that movie's great. So I don't know.
It started off great, and then it just got too artsy fartsy. like I feel like they were trying too hard to make it artsy when it really didn't need to be. Like the weird stuff was just like dancing. And
the scene
with
that
landslide. I'm like,
was
what
sad.
The fuck is
I was
on?
like, am I about to cry? That bummed me out. I was like,
and I just wish they had used old people. Like if I had seen some creepy like real old woman laying in bed with her, that would have been different. But the fact that they used like prosthetics and it wasn't.
I didn't know that until the end.
Oh, I just assumed that it was because I was like, this is weird. And then Mike brought up the fact that they're doing a prequel to it.
Yeah, I guess they like kind of just spitballed that like while they were stuck down in where were they, New Zealand?
I think so.
For 2 more weeks, they're like, let's just bang out another one, and they're like, what?
Well, you don't have to pay for any more trip charges.
Already there. Got all the makeup. So.
Yeah. So Andrew, I know you you haven't seen the trailer for Men, right?
I'm not watching any
kind of
trailers.
going in blind.
I'm going to go
That's
in
a
blind.
cool move. That definitely I think will be beneficial to you.
That's how I used to go into movies, and I was
Yeah.
we were talking about this on the podcast a couple weeks ago. Mike has been the biggest proponent. Mike loves to watch
trailer
it,
man.
and he always brings up trailers, and I'm like, I never used to watch them, and I was like, this is the first time, and then we started watching them, and I feel like I get more hyped to watch and I watch the trailer, and I'm like, and then I see the movie, and I'm like,
because the trailer's supposed to.
The trailer's supposed to do it, so I kind of like not knowing what I'm walking into, because then it doesn't lead you on to think a certain way. It's like reading reviews before you see a movie. You read the reviews, you immediately go, oh, I should like this movie, or I shouldn't like this movie. Yeah. And I think that kind of makes it tough to watch movies nowadays, because you go in with this preconceived notion that if I don't like this movie, there's something wrong with me, or if I do like this movie, I shouldn't like this movie. It got a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes, you know?
Yeah.
See, that's what I need to stop doing, is reading reviews before movies. Because I feel like even the spoiler-free ones, like, you still get a general idea of, like, what's going to happen in the movie. And, like, you know what people think of it, so you have a preconceived notion about what you should think about a movie. Which I feel like I need to stop doing. Because
there's plenty of movies that we'll be talking about movies, and I'll be like, oh, I love this movie. And you'll be like, and we'll talk about it, and you're like, you look it up, and you're like, this movie got like 36%. Why do I like this movie?
Yeah, maybe if
there's no accounting for taste.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's why I feel like but I feel like if you know that going in, it makes you think a different way than you would not knowing. So,
maybe if I hadn't had sky-high expectations going into X, then I would have liked it more.
It's possible.
I have no idea. But, you know, it's like there's other movies like that where, like, I felt the same way about The Conjuring after the first viewing. I thought everyone was like, this is the scariest movie since The Exorcist and blah, blah, blah. And I walked out and I was like, that wasn't fucking scary at all. Like, it wasn't fucking scary. It was good, but it wasn't scary. Like other movies like that. I don't know. That's just maybe it's just a me problem. But anyway, yeah. So maybe we'll cover Men next week. That's definitely one that I want to see in theaters. Directed by Alex Garland, who recently did Annihilation and what was Ex Machina.
Oh, I liked both of those movies.
Annihilation was really
Ex Machina was awesome.
Unreal movie.
Good stuff.
Really cool concept. Like just that guy's. He's smart. You know, he's good.
And so the main actor in the movie is Rory Kinnear. Who is no, I think he's a British Kinnear. Maybe really, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
I was assuming you hear someone's last name and it's someone that's been an actor before. I'm like, they're probably related.
Well, here's another a segue for you. Rory Kinnear, also in the very first episode of a particular show, which is titled The National Anthem, and that show is Black Mirror. And news dropped yesterday that Black Mirror Series 5, because it's a British show, they don't call it Season 5, they call it Series 5, is now underway at Netflix. So we are getting
it's been a while.
Series 5 or Season 5 of Netflix. And all they've said so far is that it's going to be longer than the most recent season, which Season 4 was only 3 episodes.
They just started
they just started shooting it, I think, or they're about to start shooting it. So we got Season 3, then Bandersnatch.
Right.
Then Season 4, which Season 4 sucked, and now we're getting Season 5.
Was that the one with Miley Cyrus in the final?
Miley Cyrus and Nine Inch Nails, and then
the first episode was that the guy that's like it's like a active shooter one, or he's trying to.
So you're thinking of the one with the guy that plays Moriarty in
I
Sherlock?
That
one was good, but the other one was the video game one with the guy that plays Falcon in the MCU, and
you're speaking a different language.
It's like two guys that play each other online in a video game, but they're long lost friends.
That one wasn't.
It's like a virtual reality game, and they start having sex in the game, and they find out they're in love with each other. Yeah. That one was really super weird.
That got weird.
The whole season was. And it was only 3 episodes, so it was a little bit underwhelming for a lot of people.
Well, that's exciting.
Miley Cyrus covering Nine Inch Nails was interesting. I kind of liked that part of it. But, so the new season of Black Mirror is coming to Netflix at some point in the near future.
It's been too long.
For sure.
They had to wait for the... They had to make sure the world wasn't actually going to...
Yeah, did we predict everything?
Yeah.
Maybe they'll have a surprise, like a Bandersnatch in between.
Maybe
they'll have like a surprise little. I loved how it was so interactive.
Was that like the interactive movie?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it was
cool.
awesome.
Did you see that?
Yeah. I did it like a few times because I wanted to see if I could get different.
It took me like 5 hours to watch
it. Oh
yeah. I kept coming back. I'd like come back to it every like couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, all right, let's see if I can switch it up, and I kind of kept getting the same outcome. So I was like, all right.
There's a lot of different ways you can do it, and I think.
But like if you don't do the certain way at the beginning, you kind of
it doesn't give you anything.
You kind of botch it. Yeah.
Hold that thought. And all right, so we're back. If there were any audio issues over the first 10 minutes, I apologize because I'm an idiot and I didn't plug our microphone in, so it was going off our laptop microphone. Hopefully it wasn't too bad. Maybe you didn't notice until now, but
That's
anyway.
okay.
Yeah,
Chicken
so-
lick-
Maybe they're not even listening anymore because it was like this production quality is garbage.
Yeah,
Now they're
maybe.
gone.
Maybe
So
so.
I did.
Or the real audio just came in and they just drove off the road.
Oh, yeah, that's
Just
just...
I stabbed myself in the eye.
Speaking of garbage, I was talking to Mike earlier today,
You love
and
garbage.
no, it was like,
The band?
no. But I was like, he was talking about he was in a funk mood, whatever, and I was like, oh, don't worry, Chicken Lickin', the sky's not falling. Do you know what that's from?
Chicken Little?
No. Did any of you guys read the book?
Probably when I was
There's
like
a book called The Stinky.
little boy.
Yeah.
The Stinky
I know what you're
Cheese
Yeah.
talking about.
Really?
His
The
head's
Stinky
like a
Cheese Man?
stink. It's like it looks
a
like
big
the
block
moon.
of cheese.
Yeah.
I mean, when you said you were going to bring this up in the podcast, I had no idea why. Because it has no
It's
relevance
a
to
great
anything.
It's not a great movie. It's a great
Great
book.
movie, yeah.
But it's so like
Maybe
the
they'll make an
illustration is-
adaptation of it.
The
like a horror
illustration is
film.
whack. It's
This
kind
child
of
was bullied because he had a cheese head, and then he
it's
goes
kind
on to
of
just melt
it's
people
kind of
with his,
messed
like,
up though. It's like there's
Gouda.
different little
It's just-
chapters. It's like the Stinky Cheese Man and all of his weird fairy tales.
Is it like Wayside Stories? Because that book is awesome.
I don't know, but no, it's like the ugliest duckling, the princess and the bowling ball. Like it's like this weird like obscure like it's a children's book though.
I
It's
think
like
you're the only person that's read any of these made-up books. That
no,
you're
it's
talking
not.
Sounds
It's
like
not
a fever
made-up-
dream.
No, it's awesome.
about. Princess and the Bowling Ball?
Yes. Yeah. And it's like Little Red Riding Shorts. It's like all of these weird like fairy tales, like kind of twisted. and
So you're
stuff.
saying
Nursery
this
rhymes.
one book contains all of these demented
Yes.
alternative fairy tales?
Yes.
Okay.
What is
all
the
right.
name of this said book?
The Stinky
The
Cheese
Stinky
Man.
Oh,
Cheese
that's the
Man.
name of the actual. Is
Yes,
the Stinky
the
Cheese
Stinky
Man.
And
Cheese
am
Man.
I correct in understanding that you told me today that the cover of the book had scratch and sniff that
Yes.
smelled like stinky cheese?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
It doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I definitely
No?
know what that is.
well, hey,
I remember
it's
I'm
something.
gonna, maybe I'll. Cat's read like 3 books, and this is one of them. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's like yeah. Well, I was like, well, don't worry, Chicken Lickin', the sky isn't falling. And I was like, Chicken Lickin', like fucky ducky and like whatever, like
Sucky
foxy
fucky.
loxy. No, it's like
What?
it's super weird. It's like a bizarro book, but it's awesome.
Is that Chicken Lickin' with
That's
the sky
Chicken
falling?
Lickin'.
Nice. Oh, that looks familiar.
That's a
Is that-
fox.
Is that
That's
the
Foxy
fox?
Loxy.
Foxy Loxy. Okay.
So it's like a strange like children's book, but
Hmm.
yeah, it's awesome.
I'm glad you brought it up.
I was like, I'm gonna bring it up on the podcast.
It seems like something that
Super relevant.
that
I know.
It seems like something that like Tim
I know.
Burton's probably in talks to
Yeah.
adapt into a
Kinda.
movie and destroy
See?
for everyone.
Or it's
That
kind
type
of like
thing,
a
you know,
Tim
like-
Burton guy?
who
yeah.
wrote
It depends. I
James
mean,
and the Giant Peach. That was
Yes.
Those
Oh,
are
Roald Dahl, yeah.
Roald
Yeah.
Dahl.
like
Roald Dahl.
Cinder Rumpelstiltskin, the tortoise in the hare, the Stinky Cheese Man,
All right.
the really ugly duckling, the
All
other
right.
frog prince, Little Red Riding Shorts. All right, okay, all right.
Moving on.
We'll move on. That's
All right. Well, so pick up the Stinky Cheese Man if you.
Well,
have
if
the
anyone else
opportunity.
has heard of it, please talk about it so that I'm not alone in this. Because I don't want to be alone in my Stinky Cheese Man love here.
I hope all of your notes that you have written down on your phone are not on the
that
Stinky
was my
Cheese
note.
Man and not from.
I kind of hope they are, because that would be awesome. Plenty of content
God.
to shoot that.
So I don't have a segue for this one. So the first
There isn't one
Yeah,
for
there was
anything.
there was
If you
a
did, I'd be very impressed, Mike.
there was a teaser trailer that dropped today. If anyone cares about anything else other than the Stinky Cheese Man,
I have a good teaser.
for the
Speaking of the Stinky Cheese Man, I farted and it smelled really bad. No, that's not a segue.
Pretty horrific.
all right,
Not
attaboy.
today. Not like
Attaboy.
now.
I tried to do
Good
a
man,
segue.
good man.
Yeah, failed.
So you may or may not have heard, listener and/or co-hosts, that there is going to be a new film in the Predator franchise, which that's a movie that the original one is the one that we've covered on the show in years past, or actually within the year past. And the new movie is going to be called Prey, and it's being released on August 5th of 2022. August 5th of 2022 on Hulu, which is a little disappointing.
Yeah, it's a little sketchy.
Yeah. So the first teaser trailer dropped today, and it actually looks like kind of interesting. It's about 50 seconds long, but essentially this is a Predator story that's set 300 years ago, with basically Native Americans squaring off against the first Predator invasion. So the teaser trailer
kinda dope.
is two Native
I'm not
Americans
mad
running
about that.
out of the woods into an open field, and they duck down into like tall grass, and they both have their bows and arrows drawn. and there's a female behind the guy with the bow and arrow drawn, and all of a sudden you just see like the triangle like laser on his forehead. You hear the sound of like the Predator laser shot, and it just cuts to black, and it just says Prey 8/5/2022 on Hulu, which I was like, Hulu,
Literally, they have a distinct smell to their movies. And they
I guess you just reach a certain age where things become depressing, and like it's depressing to me that a new Predator movie can't even, muster a theatrical release. My God, if I could only speak. All this stinky cheese man talk has me all disheveled. Okay,
chicken licking.
I think that they know that the streaming thing is popular. And B, they're like, this could reach a whole younger audience that's never even seen the original.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's definitely I think it's got to be one of those kind of
situations.
Or
it could be a sign, like another movie we may talk about in the very near future, that, hey, this movie is a turd, and let's try and make as much money as we can off it on streaming services and get that ad revenue, and maybe we get some word of mouth.
Any one of who's in that?
I don't know what any of the actors. I feel like the information about it is scarce. Like basically that plot description is all I really know.
Seems like a cool concept.
It is a cool concept. I can't wait to watch it, but I feel like it's just there's no hype for it.
It'd be a lot cooler if they did like a second Evil Dead where it was like lights.
Like Army of Darkness?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That would be way cooler.
Dude, like Predator and
do like
Evil
a combo
times?
movie?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant if Evil Dead made a movie
if it was
Army
Evil
of Darkness.
Dead. No, if you had like Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, and
But it was
Predator,
Predator.
and it was one
Mashed
mashup,
up.
that would be pretty
Seems
dope.
like a lot going on.
Yeah,
Yep, like Shirley.
That actually is a
3-hour movie.
great idea.
That's a 3-hour movie I'd see in theaters.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, Prey, the new Predator movie, again dropping on August 5th on Hulu. Couple of cool announcements, though, before we jump into tonight's movie. Got word also, while we were talking about Hulu, there was also apparently like a press day for Hulu and FX, because FX has the exclusive streaming contract with Hulu.
FX does have the movies.
Yep, they do have the movies, and they do have Hulu. We're getting new seasons of American Horror Stories, which is the anthology one, which is new stories every episode, and What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, that show rocks.
Fuck yeah, baby.
Yay.
That show's mad funny.
I love
Both
that.
shows will be returning this summer, and we're getting American Horror Stories on July 21st, and What We Do in the Shadows on July 12th, and I cannot fucking wait
Hooray!
for What We Do in the Shadows, because I love that show.
Do you like Workaholics?
I do. I haven't watched the whole thing, but every time I watch it, I laugh.
So Kyle Newacek,
Yep.
he's one of the directors of What We Do, and like producers and stuff. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of those shows where, like I said, I never watched it religiously, but every time it's been
That
on,
show's
I've laughed.
so underrated.
Oh, yeah.
Workaholics. It's funny as shit. Their podcast is also very funny, too.
Oh, I'll bet.
This is important. Yeah,
I feel like every time I watch it, it reminds me a little bit of, like, Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Catherine.
They definitely have some of the same kind of vibes, yeah.
Yeah.
Except it's like it's if you were born in the or like if you're a '90s kid as opposed to
it's a
like
little
if you
more-
were an '80s kid.
Definitely a little more immature.
Yeah,
Sure.
very immature.
All right. That's what I have for news items before we jump head first into this
we
latest
start
movie.
something? We start a
little something.
yeah.
Ooh, little spark going here. And, of course,
Where's your flint?
if you've seen this episode title, you know we're talking about the latest 2022 movie release, which is a Firestarter, the 22 version.
keeps doing that.
I know, I was singing that song all day today. But, yeah, Firestarter, which is a 2022 horror movie release, which you can see either in theaters or on Peacock, the streaming service.
Peacock.
And obviously, this is a movie title that's been around for a little while. It's obviously based on a Stephen King novel, and it is a remake of a 1984 film. And I feel like it would only be the right thing to do before we jump into this remake movie to talk about the original book and also talk about the 1984 film. So, with that being said, I'm going to hand it off to Andrew and Matt here. Who would like to talk about which first? I feel like maybe we should talk about the novel first. You want to talk about
I feel like you
Firestarter?
start with the very beginning, which is the book. Yeah.
Let's see, when did I read this? It had to have been in 2008, and then into like 2019. I kind of took a while to get through it. I was in the middle of a move, so I went from reading it to not reading it, and then picking it back up. Getting back into it. So basically, what it's about is this this mother and father, when they were in college, they were part of a volunteer experiment where they were able to try this trial chemical called Lot 6. And basically what they were doing was studying people that have self-proclaimed psychic abilities, whether they can predict the future or they can move stuff with their mind.
Right.
Yada, yada, yada. They get all these people together. They give some placebos. They give some the chemical. From then on out, anyone that survived has some sort of crazy ability that they can now harness and keep, but it's very, very intense and powerful. And Vicky and Andy have their child, who is Charlie, and she is pyrotelican, so she can start fires with it. And also kind of like move shit around, like throw fireballs. It's fucking badass. But the whole novel kind of starts out with them running from what is called the Shop. That's like this group of people, just this government agency, yada, yada, yada. So I don't want to go crazy in detail.
Which they call, what, the DSI in this new movie, right?
It's not
Something
called
like
the Shop.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
So they call it the Shop in the old one. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so the whole book is just kind of them running. The new movie has definitely some things that are similar, but almost everything, for the most part, has been altered in one way or another. But when it comes to the older movie, it's pretty close in terms of where they go, how they're separated, and how the negotiations are made to kind of get Charlie. What they basically want to take her and weaponize her power as like a war weapon.
Use her for the government's benefit.
Yeah, they basically at what point can she create carpet bomb a city from
right,
and we don't have to send any people, yada yada yada. So that's ultimately the gist of what the story is about.
Okay.
And from there, it's Andy trying to keep her away from them and how they have to try and get away and expose what the Shop did and what they're trying to do.
Right.
Yeah.
So I feel like
it's a good book.
So,
it was better than I thought it was going to be.
And I this is one of the, I know you've read more King than I have, and I've read a good amount, but this is one of the few Stephen King novels that I have not read. But I have seen the 1984 movie, but admittedly not for a long time. And Andrew, I know you watched this last night after you watched the remake.
Yes, I
so
watched.
What were your
the
thoughts on
the
on the 80s movie?
It's better than the remake. Not sure if that even counts for anything, because all in all, it's a very just blah movie. Like the remake, it has no heart. There's no heart to it. It's just you don't feel for the characters. You never really feel like you're rooting for anyone. It's just very blah.
Yeah, it's just kind of
I feel like what this movie could be is essentially an origin story for Eleven from Stranger Things.
See, I was gonna see how long it would take for that to come up, because I feel like this is one of those prime examples. You watch this movie where Stranger Things borrowed so heavily from it.
Oh, yeah.
It's
so
like
much.
Stranger Things did Firestarter better than Firestarter did.
Oh, way better. I mean, the original
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I think I like it starts in a better place. So we're going to talk about the remake after this. So essentially the original movie, it starts with them on the lam trying to get away from the agents that are tracking them down. So basically it starts right after the mom was, and that's where it starts.
Okay.
In the original one.
In the original.
Is there a lot of other
With
stuff
one
Drew Barrymore.
Drew Barrymore, who
Is there
plays the child.
stuff that's different? Like
So interesting enough, in one of the first scenes I thought was funny, they're trying to go to the airport and he's talking to the taxi driver, and the guy's like, I'm not bringing you to the airport, that's too far. He's like, I'll give you a $500 bill if you do. And all he has is a $1 bill, and he makes it like a $500 bill, and they definitely
$500 bills are also not
Yeah,
real.
I'm like, a $500 bill? I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen one of those.
Yeah.
And I would like one.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
So that I thought was funny because they did that same thing in the remake. A lot of this in the remake are very similar.
Okay.
Except when you get to the farm, and so they get that ride from the stranger that brings them to the farm. It starts to go a little bit off there. And there's also a lot more time spent in the end of the movie at the shop. Like in the remake, they just kind of
they go there.
he's there, and then she shows up to save her daddy, and then nothing, a couple things happen, and that's it. This, it's literally I feel like it's almost half the movie is spent at the shop.
Okay.
Which
Most of the
feels
book
like
is
it's
that
more,
way. Yeah.
I feel like this one's more geared towards the book.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
like a better adaptation. It's still borderline terrible.
Yeah.
But it's better than the
See this movie to me, the remake, reeks to me of post-production studio interference
And rushed.
Oh my god, yeah, absolutely.
Choppy editing.
I feel
It's
like they chopped
not enough
this thing
takes.
down to the shortest possible length they could get because they thought they did not have a hit on their hands, and they were like, you know what? Maybe if we put it out in theaters and we shorten it, we can make as much money as we can by showing it more often throughout the day.
I will say
That's what it like. I feel like it's just it feels rushed. It feels like very cliched at parts, and I feel like the parts that are very good, or not even very good, but are good and interesting, are kind of relegated to like side plots or like the last couple minutes of the movie, like that type of thing. So I feel like they could have done way more with this, and I bet you if they ever release like a director's cut where it's the original vision for the movie, maybe it's a little bit more interesting. But I feel like this is just for me.
I just don't know what they could have possibly done. That
Right?
It's just it's not even what it's lacking. It's just like the direction it went in. It doesn't make sense for what it is lacking at that point. So
I feel like this is just for me. It continues a trend. Another 2022 horror movie. Another underwhelming 2022.
I mean, this might as well have been a Hulu maybe.
yeah.
Because
And you know what?
Hulu.
I do actually, and we can talk about this at whatever point. I do have an idea of where they could have taken this, where it would have been way better and way more interesting. But I don't know.
I will give the original movie props on a couple things. So the end of that movie with Drew Barrymore just blasting fireball nonstop. It's like 15 to 20 fireballs. People just getting roasted at the end of the movie, and she's not even looking. She's just like the other side. This is for you, Daddy, and it's just like wow. People are just like wow, just like lighting on fire.
That's a lot how the book ends.
Yeah, and
like,
it was, and I was like, so this is like I liked the end of the movie. I honestly think that the special effects were terrible in the original. They might have been better than the special effects.
I was going to ask
because the special effects in the remake were fucking garbage.
Dude, when Zac Efron has like blood coming down his
Yeah.
face, and you can see, it's like, dude, you couldn't just put real fake blood. Like you had to CGI the blood.
It's so
like
bad.
it's like
It was
damn,
an
dude.
odd choice.
You can like see it like lap like the overlap in the editing of it on it. I'm like, that looks insane.
Yeah.
Dude.
Which by the way, I mean, hey, Zac Efron sure is handsome, but oh my fucking god, did he mail it in for this movie? He was
awful.
Oh my god,
I
was
liked
he?
him.
Well, yeah, because he's handsome.
He was not handsome in this
his
movie. though.
acting was
What's up with his
terrible.
hair?
I thought he looked.
I thought
alright.
he looked all right. He looked all right.
I mean, his
But
body was
dude,
good.
the acting was terrible, dude. Like he was just like, dude, there was absolutely. Again, we're talking about a movie we watched on Peacock streaming.
Well, I mean,
service
him
right now,
compared
so,
him in this role compared to like
temper your expectations, but the chemistry between like him and his daughter on screen, there was none. No. I feel like the scenes with them, I was just like listening to two actors read off lines. There was nothing.
They were like printed on the other one's forehead.
Right.
I feel like he
I
didn't
don't
give
know.
a fuck about his own daughter.
Yeah.
No.
Like half the time, like there was no chemistry. There was nothing. It's like the same thing in the school.
Yeah. So
Gavin, that little shithead redhead who's bullying her the whole time, and nobody seems to care.
Yeah,
The teachers
even
are
the
like,
teachers.
"What's wrong with you, Charlie?
that,
What's wrong with you, you
that,
idiot?"
that teacher was like didn't even
Clueless.
dude, let that kid bully the shit out of her. It was
then
so
just be
messed
like,
up.
"Where's
That was what that would
Charlie?"
if we still did the nitpick category. That would be one of my many nitpicks. That also and hi, Zac Efron, you're on the run with your daughter from a shadowy government agency. Maybe don't fall asleep in your vehicle while your daughter's out burning cats in an abandoned parking lot. Maybe hang out with your daughter or do something. I don't know. It was just. It was so frustrating because you can see like certain things where there was a seed of a good idea. But one thing I will say, extremely positive in favor of this movie. The best part of this movie, by far, the music.
Yeah, I said the
1000%.
exact
It was
same thing,
Carpenter,
dude.
Best
right?
part of the movie,
Yeah.
and it's because it's by John Carpenter, his son Cody, and their music partner Daniel Davies, and the music fucking rocks.
I'm pretty
the
sure
whole
that's
movie.
the original score of this movie is the one I came up with for the podcast on the keyboard that time. And I
Oh,
switched
really?
it.
It probably was.
It
Yeah.
sounded just like it because it was a complete Carpenter ripoff that I did, and I was like, I know that song. And that I love the movie.
Oh, it was awesome. It was so good.
Right as it ended and the credits roll and the music came on, I literally like was sitting on the couch with Sarah and I was like, "Oh, the music's fucking sick."
Music.
It goes to show that the music can almost make a movie, like almost make you like it to an extent, and then you're like,
I'll give John Carpenter and Cody Carpenter their flowers.
they
were
get an
great,
A+
yeah.
for that.
So when I was at work today and I was like not making phone calls, but like responding to emails, I turned on the office speaker the whole soundtrack they wrote for this movie. And I listened to the whole thing the whole way through, and it was awesome. Again, like hearing in the movie last night. Oh, the It Follows one's great too.
Amazing.
It's funny you say that because I finished listening to the Firestarter album, and one of the disaster pieces of music from It Follows came on like as a recommended suggestion after that. So I was like, oh, that's such a great score too.
Yeah,
but
very similar. They have that just 80s synth kind of fucking mayhem vibe,
which I love.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I was underwhelmed with this. I wasn't expecting a whole lot, and I felt pretty underwhelmed walking out of it, which, I don't know. I feel like now we're reaching a point again where like certain movies are just cashing in on the Stephen King name, and I feel like this is one of them. Somebody could have made a better movie out of this, I think. Could have been better.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect much out of it.
Yeah.
I thought the original one was very so-so. The book's good, but it's like, it still is kind of flat. Like, it's not like there's definitely like crazy parts in it. Like, one of the things that happens in the new one is she lights a cat on fire. And it's probably the most...
Trigger warning.
Yeah, it's... I guess if you're... Yeah. It's not very realistic, but...
Oh, yeah, it's not. It's pretty...
Yeah, it kind of looks like a Muppet.
Pretty goofy looking,
but
kind of.
But, yeah, it looked like Fozzie Bear. But it was like the most like exciting part of the movie because you're like, oh my god, like something violent and crazy happened.
Yeah.
She does light a few people on fire, and it's like, wow, that's nuts. But at that point, you're already so out of it that it's like whatever. But in the book, she negotiates with. So in the book, the lady that plays, I forget her name. It begins with an H. Hollister is a man.
Oh yeah, in the first one,
Yeah.
Captain Hollister in the movie. Movie is a man too.
Yeah.
The leader of the government.
It's Martin Sheen.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
And then George
C. Scott.
George C. Scott plays Rainbird
today. Yes.
And so Rainbird is like super sinister in the book. Mm-hmm. He has a whole plan of like becoming her friend and manipulating her and like really just like he's like hellbent on just like taking full adult advantage of a young girl. And in the book she's like 8. She's not like whatever. She's got to be closer to like 12 or 13.
Yeah.
So she's like a little kid. Yeah. And so it's really, really fucking demented how he is that way. And they make a negotiation where she's able to go to this horse barn that they have near the whole laboratory or whatever. And ultimately she burns down the horse barn. You got this, Stephen King paints this crazy picture of horses on fire running around. It's like, it's fucking nuts, dude. Yeah. So
interesting that you should say that because in the original, that character is very much the same.
Yeah.
Rainbird.
And also, I'm curious, so there's one scene in particular where he's talking with Captain Hollis and Martin Sheen. He's basically asked, he's been like, what's your plan at the end? Like, friends with her, or does she know? Because if she knows that you're with us, she's going to roast you alive. And his plan, because he essentially wants to see if he can gain her power and his plan is, I want to get her at her most happiest point so that she is so happy, and then drive his fist into her nose and shatter her bones and so that they explode into her blood.
Yeah.
That's like in the movie. I'm like, is that like similar with
pretty much?
Yeah. I'm like, that's
very descriptive.
I'm like, that's fucked.
That wasn't in the remake.
No, that was in the original one. Like Rainbird's way different.
So that's one way to portray that character.
Like they changed that character is so different.
Reading the sorry.
No, I was gonna say you go ahead. I'll go after.
Reading the book, I imagine Rainbird as the like deaf mute from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Right.
That's exactly how I pictured him in my mind. And then it was George C. Scott. No, it's different.
Yeah,
that's a white guy.
That seems like a weird choice to play that role.
Have a ponytail.
Because I feel like in the book he's supposed to be a Native American, like Vietnam veteran, right?
Yes.
So that's like
the new one had a very physically great portrayal of what he would look like.
So I'll interject there and I'll say that. So when I said that there was an idea for a better movie in here somewhere, that started and ended with that character, in my opinion. I thought he was the most interesting character in the movie, if you had to pick one. And I just feel like if you're like pitching a reboot for Firestarter, right? Why would you say let's do the exact same thing for the 90% of the movie or 95% of the movie? Like it's just to get it out there to a new audience and see if it works. They could have made the movie so much more interesting if it was focusing on like that character's experiences with that same organization when the drugs were tested on him. and like what he did, like when he was in Vietnam or something like that. Like there's an interesting movie there.
Kind of like a Jacob's Ladder aspect to it a little bit.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Like that's
That'd
a
have
more
been sick.
interesting movie than this.
There wasn't enough of a connection between him and Charlie. Like, he eventually does carry her away, and she
Right.
forgives him and all that.
Which I
But
liked.
could
I didn't have a problem with that.
No, that was good. They
Yeah.
could have played more onto that, like, and given, like, a backstory, like, other than the fact that you know that he was tested, too.
Yeah.
Other than that, to, like, why he eventually cared and why she forgave him and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But is he like... Because he has the same power that
Just
Andy
not the
has.
Firestarter.
It seemed to me
He
like the
can,
impression that I
force
got.
you to think
Yeah, he can
things.
push you.
Yeah.
It seems to me like the way that he was acting along with Efron's character and her mom, that they were all like in awe of her power because she was clearly more stronger than all of them, maybe even combined.
Yep.
But I feel like at the end, what's his name? Rainbird.
Rainbird. Yeah.
Rainbird at the end, like he kind of like he's at her mercy. He's like, I'm gonna die. I killed her mom. He like kneels down before her, like I'm just giving myself up because there's no way I can fight you. And she ultimately lets him go, and then says, "You know what? Okay, I'll help teach you. Like, let's go if you want."
I don't even think he was giving up. I think
that was interesting.
I think that was his way of saying, you know what, I'm sorry,
Right.
and I could have done like he wasn't giving up because he could have like fought and like done something, but he was basically just saying, you should kill me because I deserved it.
Both. Yeah.
Yeah,
To
I
a
know what
note
you mean.
that you had earlier that you're like, I wonder if there... Now I can see this. If you were saying if there was a director's cut, it's like maybe there was a big chunk in the middle where they had this kind of pseudo-friendship that was portrayed like it was in the story where he was trying to help her and this, that, and the other thing.
Or just
but
think-
then they cut it all out, and now you
about,
have this
like,
weird
You had this
thing at the end.
shellless, empty, barren of a movie. It was
Yeah.
just like so
The
blah.
guts of the story are where he tries to connect with her. That's like the biggest part of the book.
Right.
And it's what drives everything and keeps it moving because he's the fucking villain of the story.
Yeah.
And now you're just like, he's just some dude.
See, that almost kind of reminds me of like Dick Halloran's relationship with Danny in The Shining,
Yes.
right? Like trying to almost like mentor him and lead him along, and then ultimately, try to save him at the end of the story. So yeah, I just would have liked to have seen more of that.
Or more of like
Explored.
the other people that were in that whole program.
Yeah.
In general, and like what other powers they had or whatever. It's more. I mean, this whole movie is more of a like superhero movie than like.
It's like an X-Men.
Like,
movie.
it's not
like
really-
It really is. It's like
not a
X-Men
horror
before
movie.
X-Men. Yeah, essentially.
Well, no, X-Men
Well, X-Men was
was
around
well
before
before that.
Stephen King wrote this book, but
It's
like
Stranger Things before Stranger Things.
it's 1,000.
100%.
Like Stranger Things owes
A lot to this.
to this, if not almost
Because that
everything.
is 11, basically, minus like the Firestarter.
And I feel like the creators of Stranger Things, like if you asked them, they would tell
They
you
would
straight up.
100% agree.
They would tell you that. They would also tell you it's based on like John Carpenter movies, Steven Spielberg movies, like all of these things from the 80s. That it's clearly
It just shows to go
inspired
that
by.
it can be done well.
It can be done well, but
Not in this case, though.
yeah, it's just
yeah.
you know what, they took the idea of this novel and they turned it into a better version of this story than the actual Firestarter title.
Yeah.
They did. So
I like the opening credits. I thought that had potential for a pretty good setup.
that was actually really cool. It almost reminded me a little bit of like the
Event
Seven
Horizon.
opening credits.
Yeah,
it
that
was like
too.
where it was like the music was intentionally like very like almost like from the music for that, but it was like the footage was cut so quickly and it was just like flashing back and forth and
The VHS tape.
yes, it was like grainy, weird quality. So
the dude like
I will
holding
say,
his
though-
eyeballs. I was like, well,
I really did like Irv. I thought the Irv in this movie did a really good job. The character that picks him up on the highway heading to Boston, like boom.
yeah, he's actually
He's in a bunch of shit.
he's in the Mighty Ducks. He's the dad of the two
Oh,
twins.
yeah.
That's funny.
That's the dad from Mighty Ducks, and he's in a ton of shit. Absolutely.
I feel like I had the vibe when she's like at the window and realized that like when he was talking about his wife and then she sees her through the window and like I was like, oh no, he's gonna like totally like just try and kill them right now or something. Like you
Yeah.
thought that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's like a nice guy and you're like,
kind
well.
of.
Yeah, it was a weird shift.
Yeah.
Weird shift.
It just doesn't
You're
like,
like,
they don't ever like you never feel for Charlie. You never really care about Charlie.
No.
I look at Charlie as the girl that says, "Liar, liar, your pants are on
Well,
fire."
yeah,
and that's
she's
the
kind of a-
epitome of this movie.
She's kind of a cold
yeah,
killer.
yeah. She
Oh,
doesn't.
absolutely.
You never
Yeah, she
feel
kills
like
a
you
lot of
never
people.
like want to be on her side.
Yeah.
No.
It's like
And
I
it's
was
like-
on Irv's side. I wasn't on her
See,
side.
I mean,
There was
the-
like a morality trail that was like
Yeah.
left for her too. He's like, you can't really, and she's like,
And then
still
she's
just
just
only-
roasting
yeah.
cats and
The
killing
only
her
thing-
mom and
Right.
doing
the
all
only
sorts
thing-
of fucked up shit.
I felt like the only thing like even close to that was when she killed the cat. because she kind of felt some emotion there.
But, she
But
was
like even when
constantly-
like I feel like they tried to make her look psychotic because even when she burned her mom, she was like to Efron, she was like, that was supposed to be you. Like
Right.
not even I'm sorry, like that was supposed to be you.
And he
What
basically
were you saying?
goes,
I'm
"Cool,
sorry."
you want some pancakes?" And fucking
Yeah,
idiot.
no,
He's
she's
an
just
idiot in that
constantly
movie.
trying to hurt people, like all the time, like all the kids at school. And she's
Probably
like,
because she's been
Yeah.
bullied all this time,
Right.
and nobody gives a fuck. Their teachers, her
Right.
parents, nobody seems to care.
She can't have Wi-Fi.
She literally isn't allowed to do anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're like, what is this, a Jehovah's Witness? And you're like,
Right.
no, she's not a Jehovah's Witness. She just has a gift, and she can't, like, you're not allowed to go on the internet?
Yeah.
Like, and I can say that as a former Jehovah's Witness, not besmirching any.
But I think, I mean, for the most time, whenever there's a kid in a horror movie, I feel like I hate them. They're so annoying,
Yeah.
whatever. And I was like, I don't
They're hard
hate
to
her.
I didn't
Enjoy.
hate her.
Yeah.
She just didn't do anything.
She didn't do anything.
She didn't make me, like, I didn't want to root for her.
Right.
I was rooting for the bad guys, I feel
Yeah.
like.
Even
Yeah,
when,
I wanted
like,
to see what was going to happen with
Yeah.
Rainbird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
I
And
felt
then they
like
didn't
there
develop
was-
him enough. Like, I thought one of the coolest scenes, too, was when it was like you had, like, that standoff between Frank. What's his name?
Frank.
Andy. Well, Frank
Zach.
is his Frank was
Yeah,
his
he's
fake
got a million
name.
names in the name.
Yeah.
Frank was his
movie.
fake name, and he's like going mano with Rainbird, and he tricks him into seeing her walking into the woods, and she isn't really, and he's like, oh, very clever.
Right.
I was like, I thought that was kind of cool, but they didn't do like enough of like the like using their powers
Yeah.
other than her roasting people.
Well, and she roasts him too,
Yeah.
which like that's not how it goes down in the book.
And she roasts
At all.
herself.
Yeah.
Like, she's.
So there's like the whole thing with him, with Andy being in like the horse barn and everything is like this huge fucking like climax of the story. And then when the book ends, it's like her with all this like classified information, and she's able to make it into like some big like news thing in New York, and
Yeah.
she like passes along like
Well,
this
that's-
is what happened to my family.
Yeah.
In
Like,
the remake,
Yeah.
in the original, at the end of the movie, she's walking in with Irv, because Irv's still alive at this point,
Yeah.
the same character, into the New York with
Yeah.
all the information.
See, they don't even
tell her.
touch that. Yeah.
They don't even bring that up. That's why I think the remake is so. I mean, the original, not the remake. The original is so much better than the remake. And I was
genuine
interested
to the
to. I
book.
was curious to think. I was curious to find out which one was closer
oh yeah.
to it, and it was clearly the original.
without-
Based off of what you said, it's
without
the original
question.
is pretty much spot on.
There's like almost nothing
and
except the idea of the characters and like the just general
Yeah.
story.
And so usually, if it's a Stephen King novel, it's a remake. It's not a remake. Making of a movie.
Yeah.
If it's the more genuine it is to the story, I feel like the worse of a movie it is. But in this case, I feel like it's better
yeah.
because well, I mean, you got The Shining.
Second
and then even-
remake.
Well, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is a good movie.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
But
Right.
it's not like
Well,
true to the story.
right.
No,
Right.
it's not.
But it's
And
Stanley
then-
Kubrick.
Right.
Yeah, so he can kind of get away with that, I guess. But like even so, but isn't that more true in general of Stephen King movies?
Sometimes there's so fucking many of them.
Yeah,
so-
I know.
Yeah.
I didn't even know if we could like.
Yeah,
get
And
down
a
to
lot
that.
of them are based off of stories that are 15 pages long.
Right.
I have an
So-
idea for a draft.
For what?
Best Stevie.
There'd be so many things we'd have to just omit automatically.
Yeah.
No, you can't omit if it's just one person. If it's a
Yeah,
draft,
but it's like
because it's a
everyone's
draft.
going to be like Carrie, The Shining, Salem's
Right,
Lot.
yeah.
Pet
I wouldn't
Sematary,
do
like-
any of those.
Oh boy. Wild
You
Guardians.
might not
Here
get
he
the popular
comes.
vote.
Yeah, I don't need the popular vote,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying that would be. There's a thought. No.
Your number one pick would be the Raft from Creepshow 2, for sure. I feel like that would be your
Storm of
first
the
one.
Century.
Storm of the Century.
I love Storm of the Century.
Very, very good. Very good.
Or
All
The
right.
Shining.
Well, good stuff. Good stuff. Why don't we take a second to pause for a quick word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with more of the show.
It's official. The critics' decision is in.
Spooky World is spooktacular.
Enter the new black hole.
If you dare.
Or the new horror House of Wax. This year, don't miss the real Jason, Bobby Pickett, or Alice Cooper. Phone the 24-hour Spooky World hotline. 508-838-0200. That's 508-838-0200. Spooky World is just west of Boston and haunts every night from October 1st till November 1st. If you had the nerve, you'd phone 508-838-0200.
It's America's horror theme park. Spooky World.
Don't be scared. I'm the super sweet monster with the super sweet new cereal, Count Chocula.
Biffle, here's the super sweet new cereal, Frankenberry.
But I've got chocolate sweeties for monstrous chocolate flavor.
Well, I got berry-flavored sweeties for monster strawberry flavor.
Count Chocula.
Frankenberry.
Hi.
Frankenberry.
Count Chocula.
of evil is going to scare you to death. Barrett's Haunted Mansion. It's killer this year. Then be next door to the Abington Ale House. Barrett's Haunted Mansion. Eat, drink, and be scary. Go to bhmansion.com.
And we're back. All right. Hey, so normally at this point I would talk about where this movie might rank in a particular year where we've seen it, which this year would be 2022. But before we get into that, I actually forgot that I didn't mention or ask anybody really if they watched anything interesting over the last week since we last recorded. So, Mr. Audette, I know that you watched some cool stuff. Mm-hmm. Why don't you tell us about it?
So it was May 12th. Shudder released this movie called The Sadness, which was a highly anticipated movie coming out. It was coming from I want to say Taiwan, and it is basically a zombie movie, but it's kicked way into fucking hyper gear. Basically, it's about a young couple who are trying to get back together. Like, he drops his girlfriend off to go to work, and then in the meanwhile, this massive outbreak of this insane disease happens that forces people to be just... It's more like The Crazies meets Shivers by David Cronenberg with the sexual, like, attack, like, and just want to fuck everybody kind of deal. So it's that, but they also want to, like, rip your fucking head off and destroy everything about you. Dude, it's, like, insanely over the top. They can still talk to you, and, like, they can taunt you. They chase... Dude, it's really insane, but it is just so insane. It's like if Ichi the Killer meets, like, Sam Raimi. It's just like this insane mishmash of just someone said that this is what it seems like you would have, like, it was like the whole movie was deleted scenes from Event Horizon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. That's an interesting description.
Yeah. Very depraved, and just like it is like hell on earth. But it also rings a lot with the politicizing of the pandemic and this, that, and the other thing. So there's a lot of stuff like that was very interesting.
Yeah.
But I definitely recommend it. This is a movie This movie kind of made Terrifier look like a bitch.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's saying something.
I'm not going to lie. So if you are into the gore, definitely check it out, because it is like super, super like Kill Bill style fucking like spray blood all over everything. Kind of gore.
The Sadness?
Yes.
The Sadness.
And it's like the sexual violence is pretty hardcore in it, so that's one other thing as well. So
all right,
but
interesting,
very crazy movie.
Gotta get into subtitles.
Gotta get into subtitles.
Yeah, it's
I don't mind subtitles.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sam Raimi, by the way, I thought this was interesting and something that we should probably talk about. Do you guys hear any of this? Like the fact that Sam Raimi's kind of getting raked over the coals a little bit by Marvel fanboys for. So he just, obviously, Sam Raimi just directed Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which so there's been a couple different things. People have been saying that it's too scary or too spooky to be a Marvel movie because I haven't seen it yet, but Sam Raimi kind of definitely puts his imprint on some of the scenes. I guess it's like the most violent, probably, Marvel movie.
And
first off,
I've heard it's
too scary. What are you, an idiot?
I've heard that it definitely has horror.
I've heard the same thing. Yeah,
and
sure. I know
it almost kind of flirts with the movie.
It's the Benedict Cumberbatch.
So now I kind of want to see that because I love Benedict.
I do
Cumberbatch.
too. We should see it.
Love saying Benedict.
I do want to see it. I do want to see
it. Sherlock.
But yeah, I mean, I guess Marvel kind of knew what they wanted to do, and they hired a filmmaker like Sam Raimi because they wanted him to do things that Sam Raimi does.
So you know my thoughts on Marvel.
No, I know.
Stupid years.
I know.
The fact that these fanboys are saying that it's too scary, I now actually kind of want to see this movie. Because if they don't like it, I'll probably like it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it PG-13?
It is. Yeah, because it's an MCU movie. So
yeah, it's still a Marvel movie.
Yeah. Wasn't Batman PG?
Batman was PG-13.
See, I thought it was R until it was in theaters, and then I was like, oh.
But it didn't really see PG-13.
But Batman's not Marvel.
Yeah, the tone...
No, but I'm saying, like, just in general, as a PG-13 movie, Batman didn't feel like a P movie.
Yeah, I mean, the general tone of the Marvel movies is very much PG-13 because they're made by Disney and they want to make money and put it at theme parks. Yeah. That's what they want to do.
They're very wacky.
Right, exactly. Which, I mean, hey, I like some of those movies. I don't like all of them, but some of them are good. So,
I think it's kind of funny that like you have Marvel hire Sam Raimi make a movie and he
what do you think?
it's scary.
Then you get mad at him when he does Sam Raimi things.
Yeah,
you're that guy that likes Evil Dead. Did
you like hiring Martin Scorsese and like not getting like a mobster bar fight scene?
Yeah, what do you
like? It's like obviously it's gonna.
They're like, well, we paid him enough money. We thought he would shut up.
Well, it's like, well, you're the producer.
We just wanted your name. We didn't want anything that you hadn't.
So apparently, in spoilers for Doctor Strange, I read about this part. I haven't seen the movie, but there's a part where I guess like Strange is going through the multiverse and he meets basically like a team from an alternate dimension that are called the Illuminati, and it's a bunch of characters that like were either in other Marvel movies before these ones were being made, or like characters that haven't been in there yet. So like they have like Professor Xavier from the X-Men's in the scene apparently, but like the one from like the 90s animated series. It's weird, weird shit like that.
That's kind of cool.
Like John Krasinski's in there as like the guy from the Fantastic Four, and like
Bruce
a
Campbell's
cameo.
in it, too.
Bruce Campbell's in it.
Yeah.
But there's a scene where instead of Captain America in this dimension, it's Captain Carter, who is like his girlfriend from Great Britain, and when she is killed in the movie, he does like the point of view of like her shield getting thrown and cutting her in half, which is what one of the things that like people were mad about or whatever, because it was like a stupid shot or whatever, but like that's clearly a rip like right from the Evil Dead.
Yeah, with him getting pinned against the tree.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
Awesome.
So I thought that was pretty cool. But anyway, go see Doctor Strange. Dude, if you want to see it, this is probably too much.
Are you trying to sell this to me? Because you are.
No, I mean, I'm just telling
selling it to me more.
Well, now
than
I'm cracking up because I think Sam Raimi, because he was one of the first directors to really dive into the Marvel movies because he did Spider-Man.
Right, he did Spider-Man.
And so
all three
it's
of the
like
first
maybe
ones.
now he's just so bullshit with how it's all morphed and just being owned by Disney and they're all sellout dickheads that he was like he just trolled the entire Marvel community.
Good,
Just like, look, and I'm gonna make a fucked up horror movie and throw it in your faces. You guys are gonna all go and see it. And you're
It's
so
kind of
mad.
like what's his face did not Abrams with the Star Wars movies. He basically took the whole story and just like threw it up.
Oh,
on
Rian
his head.
Johnson.
Yeah. Ryan, was it him or wasn't it?
Well, I know people were mad at him when he did The Last Jedi. There was a whole thing about that.
It was one of them, but they basically just took all the lore of Star Wars and was like, you know what?
Yep, doesn't matter. Yeah,
don't care. Which I respect that. Props to them.
Star Wars and Marvel are definitely two things I do. I like the original Star Wars.
I love Star Wars,
but like all these new ones,
I don't care enough about Star Wars to be like, you ruined this my childhood. Like it's a fucking stupid movie.
I feel like I don't have enough room of nerddom within myself to be like a horror nerd and a Marvel nerd and a Star Wars nerd. It's like tough to be. Maybe
you'd have to like.
I mean, I feel like you have enough nerd
braces.
Like
really
so do you.
Devolve as a person.
Yeah.
So.
I just like everything.
Hey, what were we talking about? Firestarter? That's right. Oh my
yeah.
God, how did we get here? I guess now it would be as good of a time as any to try and talk about some of the other movies that we've seen this year. I know there's only been a few that we've kind of all seen here, but so let's play the better or worse game. And this actually will be interesting because this movie wasn't that great, and I don't feel like there's been a lot of great movies this year, in my opinion. So let's see. All right, so Firestarter. I already know Kat's answer here. Better or worse than Scream 5, or just called Scream 2022?
Better. Yeah.
I feel like I liked Scream better than this movie, too.
Yeah, this movie sucked. Yes.
This
movie's like at the bottom of the list.
Matt, this one's going to be a pain for you. This movie or the Texas Chainsaw sequel from 2022?
I think that, I mean...
Oh my God, I still haven't seen that.
The Texas Chainsaw movie I'm going to have to pick over... And I didn't like that at all.
That would be I think that would be my pick as well. Yeah.
I think
there was still
getting
like,
a general consensus. Sure. This is the worst movie of the year.
There were like parts that were enjoyable about the Texas Chainsaw movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have to pick that because there was nothing enjoyable about this
All right,
movie.
Kat, you haven't seen it yet.
No, I forgot. I'm gonna make a list now of stuff that I need to watch.
Wow, how about that?
About 2 years later, I should make a list.
So say X is better than this movie?
Yeah,
way better.
Agreed. Kat?
What?
X better than this movie or no?
You said you kind of liked this movie.
Yeah, I like this movie.
I feel like you're backing down on your stance a little bit. Wow,
it's close.
No.
Don't be afraid to say you like this movie just because we don't like it.
Yeah.
If you liked it,
I would prefer that. That would be nice.
I like this better than X.
Wow.
Okay, fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Good. A dissenting opinion. Good.
That's
good.
what we
Now,
want.
Yes.
Do you have reasons?
Does it have anything to do with Zac Efron?
Mostly.
Yes.
Now, when you consider that, do you consider the fact that he was terrible in this movie?
It doesn't matter.
No, but
What's
can you
better or
generally-
worse,
can you
Zac Efron
generally-
in this or High School Musical?
I
Never
don't
seen
think
High
I've ever
School
seen
Musical.
High School
Couldn't tell
Musical,
ya.
but can you
Good
can
try
you
though.
separate
Yeah.
the fact that as much as you think Zac Efron is a stud, which he is,
He's a stud.
handsome.
He's a handsome guy.
his acting
Yeah.
in this movie is garbage.
No, it
Can you
wasn't-
agree with that?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
like he wasn't nearly as good as he was in. What was that other movie? What was he? The murder fucking.
So I actually
The
had this.
Ted Bundy
He was
one?
Ted
great.
Bundy,
He was
yes.
good in that Ted
He
Bundy
was
movie. He
awesome
was
in
good.
that. Yeah.
And first of all, you know what?
Very
Whoever,
boring movie,
like,
though.
dude,
That movie smelled.
It was very.
it was a little bit drawn out. He
It
was
was
good in it, though.
very.
It was good.
very disappointing.
I didn't-
because
I
I was
didn't
like
hate
Ted
it. I
Bundy
didn't hate
movie.
it.
Let's fucking.
First
go.
of all,
and then I watched it. And I
there
went,
is
boo.
in no reality is Ted Bundy as handsome as Zac Efron.
No.
Get the fuck out of here.
So if
no
Ted
way.
Bundy had a nutritionist, someone that worked him
Right.
out every day, sculpted his dirty fucking long eyebrows, because Ted Bundy's eyebrows are out of control. And Zac
the
Efron
bus is out of control.
Zac Efron has someone
Yo,
tweezing
Batman.
every hair on his body. Ted Bundy is just as good looking as Zac Efron. He just put in zero effort because he was putting in more effort into, I don't know, killing people.
Right.
Like,
yeah. Exactly.
when your
Right.
job is to look sexy,
Yeah.
This is an absurd level of defense for Theodore Bundy. Is there another alternative reason for this defense? I have
My
to
defense
ask.
is
There's like
that
veins sticking out.
Yeah.
You're like,
my defense is like you can't compare the handsomeness of one man to another man whose job is to be handsome when the job of the other person is to,
kill people.
He's
kill
an
people.
actor. It's an actor versus a murderer.
Yes.
I mean,
So
like,
clearly you can look better than the psychopath who could barely wake up in the morning without thinking about murdering
It's
someone.
like saying like Bozo the Clown is a better clown than John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like John Wayne Gacy, not as good looking as Bozo, but better murderer.
Well, yes, okay.
That you can't compare their. You can't go
I-
based off of his good looks because
All
Ted
right.
Bundy
All right.
was considered by many a stud.
Yeah.
I'm sure he was incredibly charming, and he's a sociopath, which makes sense as to how he did
His
the
features
things
a
that he
little
did.
jagged for my liking, but
Okay, so anyway, instead of talking about more handsome men, let's establish that, okay, Zac Efron's
we can talk
handsome.
about you later.
No. Matt Audette, is this movie better or worse than The Cursed, which I still have not seen?
Worse. The Curse was sick.
Okay, can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
I know you're the only other one that's seen that. Cat, was Firestarter, because none of us have seen this unless you have, is Firestarter better or worse than Choose or Die? Because that's a 2022 horror movie.
Choose or Die was better.
Okay.
Is that the Netflix one?
That's
Yeah,
the Netflix one.
The video game one.
My buddy was
Choose or die.
he was like, I watched Choose or Die, and he's like, I wish I had chose a different movie.
I know.
I wish I had chose
wasn't-
to die.
Yeah.
It wasn't great, but it wasn't.
Now you're
Terrible.
pulling back on it because you just said it was better than Firestarter.
It was.
But you liked Firestarter.
Well, I liked it.
And you
It's
said you liked Firestarter better than X.
I think Choose or Die was more, to put it that way. Like it held your attention a little bit more than like Firestarter. I could be putzing around the house doing dishes
Firestarter.
and doing all my other stuff and kind of half watching it. It's one of those movies. Choose or Die, you had to, and you were like, and it kind of kept you a little bit on the edge of your seat. It wasn't a great movie, but it kept
It was a
you
Netflix
interested.
movie, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kept you interested more than Firestarter.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Is there anything else that even
Alright.
came out this year that's like, I mean, The Sadness was...
Yeah, I would say that one. So yeah, obviously you think that
Sounds
movie's better
good.
than this, right? Yeah. I don't know. I think this just kind of echoes the fact that I don't really think that this has been a very good year for horror so far. I just don't. I don't know.
I'm not going to base this year of horror based off the fact that it's not even June yet, and this is some stupid Peacock
No.
movie that I didn't expect to be good. So I have plenty of promise for the rest of the year.
I was saying so far.
So far, because
So
we're not
far.
even into the season.
Yeah,
Correct.
I think we're gonna
It's
get
not
some
even
bangers.
horror season yet. Summer's not here. The summer blockbusters haven't
Right.
come out yet. Like,
Honestly, I think my pick for like horror hit of the year this year
Nope.
is going to be Black Phone. I think it's Black
Oh.
Phone. Black Phone's going to be the big one.
I think it's gonna be...
I was
Nope.
gonna say
Nope would
I
be
think it's
huge
gonna be.
too.
I think my favorite movie of the year is gonna be Nope.
I think I'm
I
gonna
think
like
Black
Men.
Phone is gonna be
Yeah.
really good.
I think Men. I think I'm really gonna be into that. I'm really gonna be into Men. this year.
I'm like
I think
such a
this-
child. I'm like,
I'm really
say it,
gonna be into
say it,
Men this
say it,
year.
Say it. You're gonna be into Men. Yeah,
I know. I saw once I saw you kind of getting excited. I was like,
Say
all right.
it.
I'll give you the underhand.
That's what she said. No, it's like the same thing.
I'll give you the underhand pitch. Here it comes.
Oh God. Yeah. All right.
I don't
well,
even know what that movie's about. I can't wait.
Yeah.
What?
It's
Nope.
pretty.
I know what no
Oh,
is.
men,
Men,
yeah,
I
yeah.
literally have
I'm-
like no
I'm gonna
knowledge of it.
Guess
Maybe it means something.
well,
Maybe it stands for like
many.
if I had to guess,
Martians eat.
Can I give you like a funny hint?
Okay.
I want.
It's like if the Nutty Professor would be.
Oh.
Oh, so it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
No, I'm just
That's
the
all
only clue
we're
I'm gonna
gonna-
give you.
If the Nutty Professor was a horror.
just go in blind, and I would say I bet you if I
That
had
sounds-
to guess,
The Eddie Murphy one.
The
this
Eddie
movie
Murphy
is
was-
probably going to be something also
Starring
about
Michael
like
Myers.
some sort of toxic masculinity. If I had to guess,
Yeah.
that sort of.
Well, men do suck. So I'll
we
give
do.
them that.
We do. Anywho, let's see. I mean, what else about Firestarter can we talk about here?
Not much.
Didn't do too well at the box office
No,
over the
I
first
haven't.
weekend.
I haven't heard any good reviews in general.
So as I mentioned, this was a dual release. It was in theaters and also on Peacock, which was, like I said, kind of a red flag for me.
Well, Halloween Kills.
Speaking of Red, it was kind of cool that Red Foreman was like Dr.
Red Foreman was in it.
I thought he was dead.
No, I didn't realize he was still alive either.
He looked old.
Felt bad, but I thought Halloween Kills did the Peacock thing.
I know, which I think they thought that movie was going to be huge anyway. But I just think that the availability of so not surprisingly though, like the availability of this film on Peacock cut into the opening weekend box office numbers, only 3.8 million in the U.S. and just about 6 million worldwide. So
What was the budget on it?
I did not actually find that. I don't think it's
Probably
really
a pretty penny.
I would say
It
so.
wasn't. They didn't put any money into like CGI or because that was that like the worst? Was like anyone else's screen like getting blurry and shaky?
Yes.
When it happened?
Okay.
Was that like intentional
Kat
or
did
did they
say
just
that,
not try at all?
No,
I
I
just think
said
it was just bad.
Yeah,
it was
'cause
so
that-
bad. Like I'm like, what am I
Yeah.
watching? This is like a big release. Like you put all this, you have Zac fucking Efron.
That's probably where all the money.
Yeah.
Clearly,
There
didn't
wasn't
go
any
into the
other
effects.
big actors in
Right.
it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were watching it and it was in the DSI shop place or whatever, and then it was just like blurry, and I was like, "Is that the TV or what is that?"
It was
I
so.
don't know.
It was
I was like, "Why is
borderline
this?"
like worse than a Hulu movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I told you it wasn't the TV. I told you it was.
It was like
the
the
movie.
way
No,
was
it wasn't
shot.
your TV. It was just poorly done,
Yeah.
which is very upsetting. Like, can you put some effort into it? Can you put some Zac effort into it?
Oh, that's cute.
Nice.
I see what you did there.
That's cute. That's cute.
I
Zac
see
Efron.
what you did there, my friend.
Well, I mean, they didn't spend too much money on the little girl who was from American Horror Story, P-Town. So
Yeah, we should probably mention
We
that
didn't
she
mention
was
that,
she was
yeah.
in that. Yeah, the what was it called? Blood Beach or Blood something or Red Tide. Red Tide. That's what
Tide.
it was. The one that takes place in P-Town.
and she played the same kind of girl in that too.
Yeah.
Like the exact same kind
Well,
of
she's
thing.
a child, so they're probably like, "Can you just not talk and look?"
Well, they were
angry?"
like eating people.
Oh,
and
she's
she
like
was
she's a
"I'm
she's a
hungry." Yeah,
vampire
she's-
in that
yeah.
one.
I'm
Yeah.
hungry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was, and she was with. It was her and her dad, same scenario. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was, yeah,
You got to keep it simple,
Yeah.
straightforward.
One
So-
trick pony.
yeah.
Yeah, for
What
sure.
a terrible actress. That's child.
She's not going to amount to anything.
She was better than Zac Efron, who's an
Oh
adult.
my God. All right, what else on Firestarter? Anything? Anything else that we've neglected to mention, neglected to talk about, neglected to make fun of?
I'm glad that it was on Peacock. And I didn't, because when you said that you should watch it,
Right.
I mean,
Like
if we were
ne-
all gonna review it, I would have, but I would have been
Yeah.
a grumpy bitch about
Oh
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like next week, like,
I would have gotten
I'm,
hammered.
I'm
If I wasted
excited.
my
I'm
time
excited
and
to go
went
see
to
it.
Yeah,
saw this in
I would have been
theaters,
bringing in a
I would
big
have been
mixed
like,
drink.
Oh, yeah.
why am I in a movie theater to watch this?
Turd.
Yeah.
This is like a C-list movie. This isn't even a B-list movie. Like, this movie gives nothing. It brings nothing to the
Yeah,
table
it's bad.
except for garbage. It is strict hot fire garbage. Like when the 80s original version of a Stephen King movie is not even better than
Superior.
50 times better than that movie. I watched them back to back, and when I watched the original version, I was like, wow, what a good movie. And that was only because the other movie was so bad. So bad. Like, not even like kind of bad. Like, if you like any part of this movie, I don't trust your opinion, which makes me really question you, Kat. And the fact that I happen to like Happy Death Day really weighs on my mind now. And I'm like, how could I possibly like a movie that you liked when you liked this movie? And you don't even say you didn't like this movie. You said this movie was kind of good. And if you think that this movie is kind of anything but trash, then I don't believe anything.
I think
you're
if
saying.
I want to see the other remake, the original
Yeah.
remake before this remake, because I think I'd like that better.
No,
than
but I watched it opposite. So you would, in your mind, in your like fantasy land that you live in,
Where I see rainbows.
You would have watched the original version, then watched this version and gone, I like this one better than the original. And I would have gone, you are insane.
So
the original better than this one?
No.
I want to see the original because I think it would be better than this one.
You'd like it.
Oh, you would. Yeah. But I feel like you wouldn't. I feel like you'd be like, it's a little boring.
Well, we'll see.
What year did this movie come out in? I
do want to see it.
We should watch it and then report back before we talk about next week's topic.
Which movie, Andrew? Happy Death Day or?
I'll take Happy Death Day. Like I said, I don't know why I liked that movie, but I did, and I liked it.
I don't know why.
Because I love Groundhog Day.
I'm still shocked by that.
The original Firestarter has a small role by one of my favorite like guilty pleasure horror movie actors of all time, and it's the dude that plays the son from the Amityville 2: The Possession. It's his name's Jack Magner, so he's the soldier that gets lit on fire in the
Do you have his picture up?
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, he's the soldier where she lights his boots on fire when he's talking trash to this girl that's pregnant. Yeah, that guy's like in the movie. He's literally like, I don't ever want to see you again.
Yeah,
you're just some whore, basically. And she's like, I'm pregnant with your child.
I love
Amityville
like, 2:
wow.
The Possession. Wicked guilty pleasure. Wicked fucked up, like just twisted, just sick movie. But I don't always thought it was.
See,
fucking
that's the way it works. Sometimes you like movies that no one else.
It's scary as shit. It's way scarier than the first one.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really? Well, I didn't think the first one was that scary to begin with.
It's not. But the second one is like full-blown fucking possession horror. Yeah.
Interesting. I'll have to check that one out. I haven't seen that one.
It's there, dude. It's creepy. There's some weird I mean, you like Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker.
Yeah,
so.
I like incest all day. Yeah. You want to scare me? Give me some weird incest.
Oh God.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
There's your quote for the week.
There it is.
Scare me? Give me some weird incest.
Nice, Andrew.
All right. What else you got? Anybody else got anything? Yeah, this movie stinks. Don't waste your money going to see it in theaters. Go see it on Peacock. Pay $4.99 for a month of Peacock, and at least get other things out of it than Firestarter. How about that? There's an opinion to end the
There's a lot of pretty solid horror movies on.
You can get all of the Universal classic monster movies on there because Universal and Peacock are the same thing. Yeah, Scream movies, anything that's Universal. So The Thing, all the Hitchcock movies, like all that stuff.
I saw a few movies on there that I'm pretty sure featured.
The Fly, I think. The Fly's on there.
Slugs.
There's a lot of good like black and white
Octopus,
like features.
Squid.
Some sort of gelatinous creatures
for sure.
that Mike would like.
That's correct.
I think they have the Giant Gila Monster, which is one of my favorite like schlocky horror movies.
I'll have to check that one out.
Oh, dude, you can tell they're just using toy cars. It's fucking so fucking good. Dude, they just take like a big lizard and just make him knock toy cars.
I'm not privy to this movie. I'll have to check it out myself. It's good. Hey, but if you want to check out more episodes of our show, you can pretty much find us wherever you get your podcasts. Where you're listening right now, or on Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spreaker, or pretty much anywhere else, or maybe in places we don't even know about yet. Maybe they're just our new places being invented every day where you can listen to our show. And you can do that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the future holds. But anyway, hey, thanks for listening to another episode of the show. My name is Mike. I've been your host. I've been joined by Matt, Kat, and Andrew. Guys, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
To your audience.
Goodbye.
Good evening.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Bye. Bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye now. Hey everyone, it's Mike from America's Hometown Horror, and just wanted to say thank you again for listening to another episode of our show, because of course, we would be nothing without you listeners. If you are interested in more local Plymouth podcasts, I would highly recommend you check out some shows by our cohorts on the Inebriart Podcast Network. That's right, the Inebriart Podcast Network, folks. In addition to America's Hometown Horror, you can find the Inebriart Podcast, Bar Talk, Theme Park Legends, Retro Redoctopus, and Old Colony Cast. Head on over and give them a listen.